Okay. These informations are very important because it will help you a lot while answering the questions like why the ionic structures have high melting and boiling points, and why the ionic structures conduct electricity when molten or aqueous, and why not in solid form, why simple molecular structures have low melting and boiling points, and why they do not conduct electricity in any state. Okay, so that is why it is very important. So I want you to pay proper attention for it to it. An ionic lattice is a regular arrangement of alternating positive and negative ions in three dimension. It's just like a cube. You can imagine this. That structure is known as ionic lattice. And I will share my mind map of ionic lattice, ionic bond. It will give you a crystal clear picture of ionic lattice. In fact, that mind map will cover all the topic which we have already studied. Okay, so this is called ionic lattice. Ionic structures have high and melting and boiling points because lot of energy is needed to break the strong ionic bond. As I told you, that ionic bonds are actually the uh, name of force, name of bond between metals and non-metals. And non-metals, it is actually the electrostatic force of attraction between positive and negative ions. So that is why these are strong ionic bonds, and we have to provide a lot of energy to break that bond. So eventually, what will happen? Melting point and boiling point will rise. So they have high melting point and boiling point. Ionic structures do not conduct electricity when solid. There is a very solid reason behind it, that electricity is a flow of electron and the mobilization of ions. If ions are unable to move, so there will be no electricity. Ionic structures do not conduct electricity when solid. The reason is because the ions cannot move. Ionic structures conduct electricity when molten or in aqueous solution because the ions can move from place to place. Simple molecular structures have low melting and boiling point because the forces between the molecules are weak. See the exam tip on the right hand side. The melting and boiling point of simple molecular structures are low because the forces between the molecules, and those forces are known as intermolecular forces. Here, you must know there are two types of molecular forces. One is intermolecular forces, which is in between the molecules, and another is intramolecular forces, which is inside the molecules, in between the elements, the elements which helping in the formation of that molecule, like H2O. So H2O, H, the force between H and O is known as intramolecular, and the forces between H2O and another H2O molecule is known as intermolecular forces. So here you can also write that the simple molecular structures have low melting and boiling point because the forces, the intermolecular forces, are very weak. Uh, then simple molecular structures, why they do not conduct electricity? Because they do not have mobile ions or delocalized electrons. You know what are mobile ions? uh, the ions which can move, and delocalized electrons, those electrons which does not do not belong to any particular atom, any particular element in that lattice, so they can move freely all over anywhere in that lattice. So those electrons are known as delocalized electrons. So I hope you have a proper knowledge now, that why they have high melting point, and why they conduct and do not conduct electricity. Understood, bachcho? Okay. Take care not to use the term intermolecular forces when writing about the ionic structures. Yes, because there is no intermolecular forces of attraction. They are there is electrostatic force of attraction between the oppositely charged ions. So we will not use the word intermolecular forces for ionic structures. Hmm? Make sure you do not muddle the moving particles that are responsible for the conduction of electricity. In ionic structure, it is ions, but in metals, the delocalized electrons. Yes, when we'll study the metallic bond. So here over there, we will give the reason of conduction of electricity is the delocalized electrons, not the ions. But in aqueous solution, ions can move in the case of ionic bonds. Over there, we can mention this. Worked example explain in terms of structure and bonding why sodium chloride has a high melting point. The same reason the sodium chloride has a giant ionic structure. Okay, that ionic lattice it is these are giant ionic lattice. That is why they mentioned giant ionic structure. So it needs a lot of thermal energy to break the ionic bond simply. And explain in terms of structure and bonding why sulfurate is a poor conductor of electricity. What is sulfurate? Means eight elements, eight atoms of sulfur, and sulfur is a non-metal. So it means it is a simple molecular structure. It is there is a covalent bond between the S8 elements, atoms. So first we will mention as they inquired about the structure. We will write sulfur has a simple molecular structure and does not contain any mobile ions or delocalized electron, so it is a bad conductor of electricity. Any problem? ठीक है, तो क्लास को एंड करते हैं और आई request you to take the screenshot of this apply and right after the class upload the answer of this on the WhatsApp group. Okay. Okay, take care बच्चों. Allah Hafiz. Keep practicing the chemistry. Allah Hafiz.